Hello, Ryan here with another uncomplication. I figured it was about time. I've been watching the crazy moves of this market, like I'm sure a lot of you have, and I figured I would weigh in and comment on what I see and what I'm thinking and feeling and doing. So, yeah, let's get into it. At the beginning, I want to be really clear about my intentions and my biases. And I think that's really important when you're watching YouTube or reading X, formerly known as Twitter, or even reading articles on CoinDesk or wherever it might be, asking the question, why is this author sharing this information? And for a lot of people on YouTube, they are sharing information because they're trying to get your views, because they're getting money from ad dollars or sponsors. So they have a vested interest in just having you watch. People that are, let's call them influencers in the space, or those personalities that are heavily invested in different projects in the market, they're likely telling you a narrative that they are wanting to see come to fruition. So I've said this before, but it's just funny, Michael Saylor, he's out selling Bitcoin so hard because he's invested his entire soul into it, right? So when I'm hearing a Michael Saylor comment, his reality is painted through a lens of what he is trying to manifest, but that's not always truth-seeking. So I guess what I'll say is that I am looking at this. I do have some biases. I'll talk about that, but I just want to know what the hell's going on, and I like untangling the puzzle. I like learning the intricacies. And I like seeing the truth, even if it goes against what I would like to have happen. And so with that being said, I do have a bias in that for me, just in my own positioning right now, I was DCAing in this time period. And then for my own reasons, I chose to exit a portion of that when things are right around 28,000. So, which was the right move for me, and I feel great about it. But my bias in looking at the market, just so you know, is that I'm hopeful for a longer accumulation zone and for prices to go back down so that I can continue to DCA in and kind of build up my stockpiles for another move. So I am a bear. I am looking at this through a lens that wants to see a particular outcome because that's what I'm betting on. But I try not to let that cloud my judgment of taking in new information or, balancing all the different noise in the space against what I want to see. So, I'm gonna offer a couple different scenarios. I'm gonna tell you the one that I think is most likely, but keep that in mind when you're watching or listening to different people. They're going to be trying to convince you of the thing that they most want to see, and it's important to know that. Okay, so let's get into it. A couple things that I've just been following and observing. The first is that crypto has this funny way of zigging when you expect it to zag. And having ridden this roller coaster now a number of times, it's really funny that I've noticed the confluence of when the voices in my news feed. And the newsfeed that I'm checking the most is, I just love TradingView. TradingView is like my place to go look at crypto. I don't go really anywhere else. So I'll fire up TradingView. I'll look at what is, the charts. I'll kind of go through the cryptos I'm interested in. And then I'll just click on the news and I'll go to crypto. And, I'll kind of get the news through TradingView. So, there's lots of different personalities here. They all have their different take. But I notice that there's been a shift in the last couple weeks, and it's been all around the ETF. And there was this leaked, listing of IBTC on, I forget the name of the site that lists these different tradable ticker symbols. But that, supposedly triggered this big spike, yada, yada. Anyway, ETF fever seems to be the story right now. And okay, when I hear the peanut gallery saying this is a great time to buy, things are off to the races, this is the moment, breaking out, yada yada. Those types of stories, in my experience so far, which has been limited, I did buy crypto in 2017, and then I really got involved in 2021, like a lot of other people I know, and I bought in right around $42,000 when Tesla bought in. That's when I was like, holy shit, I need to be paying attention to this. I got the time and the space to be looking. And so I just want to be clear that, my experience has been, when there are these distributive tops, when the accumulators, the smart money, the people that are already in the know, when they are selling their holdings is when I feel I hear the most positive news. And then conversely, when it's the best buying opportunity is when all the news is doom and gloom and the price is going lower and, oh, we're going to break down to 14,000. Oh, we're going to, so the fact that right now we've had this big surge in price, and I'm hearing all this positive news, to me, that's like, warning signs. If, put it this way, by the time you're hearing good news, it's because someone's trying to sell you something. And unfortunately, in crypto, except for the long-term hodlers, all of these little tickers on the side here, all of these projects is this game of hot potato where you try and, pass the bag off to the bigger fool before the music stops. So a little bit pessimistic, but hey, that's like, I think that's a reality here. Okay, 3 scenarios. The first is the moon bull run. So, the ETF is going to get improved, and all of these institutional and more traditional investors and asset managers are just going to come rushing into Bitcoin because, insert next narrative here, the dollar is in hyperinflation and yada yada, and everyone wants to move to Bitcoin. Well, I don't know about that. I feel like it is a lot more likely that the news about the ETF is timed with this kind of distributive top. We've already had, 1 top, 2 top, 3 tops, which is really coincident with the distribution event where we've got the buying climax, the up thrust after distribution, and the test to see who's left to kind of buy this story, buy this narrative before we kind of work our way back down. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening here, but I am weary because the narrative of the ETF getting approved and us blasting off, when I look at just a few indicators, I don't look at a whole bunch of indicators anymore because I'm just really, for myself, I don't want to be paying that much attention. I'm not doing day trades. I'm not doing swing trades. I'm really just looking at, yearly timeframes at this point. So a couple things here. My favorite indicators are, well, one is the volume. So when we talk about a bull run, a bull run really happens. Let me get rid of all these things I've scribbled on the chart here. A bull run really happens when you've got the volume to support it. And if we look back at, the 2021 bull run as it was, and I like looking on the monthly, high time frames, guys. This gives, in my estimation, some of the biggest data confluence of all the factors. You can see them in the RSIs, you can see them in the volume. And let's just take a look. Last bull run, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 monthly candles of growth. Green candles on my chart, they're blue. And that was coincident with a move up on the stochastic RSI and a big move up on the, I'm using this CB RSI for kind of the slow moving RSI. But, here is this big swing up, 6 months of sustained growth, and these volumes. Look at these volumes. And look at where we're at right now. So I don't know if you can see this. I wish I could kind of zoom the volume graph a little bit better, but I'll just try and draw a line. We're nowhere close to the volumes that was even, in the midst of like COVID for buying and selling. These are all relative. They get relativized based on what's on the screen. And if I just kind of zoom this here to, let's just kind of say, all right, this is the next bull run. The volumes that we're looking at right now are a quarter, maybe a third of what was kind of bringing that influx of capital into the market last time. So that's just one, very high level indicator of sorts, or just data. The next that I just pay attention to are the RSIs. And I know that these are simple tools, but to me, I've said this before on this channel, the RSI to me is the Wyckoffian heartbeat. Wyckoff, primer, again, is just these cycles of accumulation and distribution, from oversold to overbought. And these are happening on the minute to minute, all the way up to the month to month, year to year. And so when you zoom way out on these charts, this is the biggest kind of cumulative heartbeat. And when I look at the current price action, I see that, yeah, we came down and we hit what appeared to be a bottom. So far this is the bottom of this cycle, and we've had a huge swing in the RSI. And, this could be coincident with, call it the relief rally from 2019, I guess, where, we blasted up and then we kind of came back down. But it does not look like this moment in time here. I feel like we've already kind of paid off this big move to the upside starting in December, January of 2022 and 2023. We've already kind of got to, on the biggest time scale, this cross back down. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't kind of, bump and come back up, but, I feel like the momentum has been paid off. Okay, so this is just my first scenario, the bull run. When I hear it on Twitter, when I see, we're going to be at 135 by Christmas, or people saying Bitcoin properly should be valued at $100,000 per coin, yada yada, based on stock to flow model or whatever. This is what I'm looking at. I'm just tempering my expectation based on the data that I see here. So the second scenario, I guess, is the relief rally. And I'm just picking up that term because I didn't even watch the video, but I saw, still a dude I respect in the space, blockchain backer. Again, I think his bias is that that's what he really, really wants. I've been following his channel for, 3 years at this point, and I know that, he's holding a big bag of XRP and really, really wanted to see that huge run up that never came, and is just, sitting and waiting patiently. And, I remember him talking about a relief rally when we were back in here. I remember, so that I'm not calling him out. I'm just saying, like, okay, scenario number 2 is that, this is a big run up, maybe even to the, 618 or, that kind of a retrace. And we're going to see altcoins and everything else, pop off. And that, in my mind, is more likely than the bull run. And the other person that I've been following that I highly recommend, I really like his content, he is Mayfair Ventures on TradingView, and he does live streams, every couple weeks or so. And I just like he's been right a lot of the time, and his perspective, I think, is really grounded in good principles, and he's been around a long time. And so I have here on my chart something that I've just been following for a while based on his a couple of his videos. So let me see if I can find this here. Yeah. So these probably already need to get resized, but essentially this is just another kind of hypothesis I've been tracking, and I think it's coincident with the kind of relief rally concept. So you can stretch these to any amplitude that you want. These are kind of based on fibs, but the idea is generally that we had an all-time high in November of 2021. We've since come down and kind of put in this bottom, and I have another set of Elliott waves here. Yeah, so let me go to the weekly. Let me zoom in a little bit. So the idea is, from this bottom, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott waves, and then, we've kind of had this triple top, which already kind of breaks this a little bit in my mind. I was expecting, and this is why I sold actually. Yeah, and that was my decision to make, and I'm happy for it. I talked about that in past videos. But essentially, you know, a retrace back. And the idea is that if this was 5 Elliott waves, then this could also be considered the first wave of a larger 5-wave move. And so what I gleaned from the Mayfair Ventures is like, okay, let's treat this as 1. Where might 2 trace back down to? And then that would give us enough oomph up to a 3 and probably test the 618 back down to 4. And you know, then if we went to a 5th wave in this Elliott wave set, you know, we'd be looking at getting just about back to all-time highs, but probably not breaking through, and probably then a much larger correction back down. And there's a couple things that are in my mind, and the first is, and sorry if this is a long video, I'm just going to give you everything I've been sitting and stewing about. When I look at my overall crypto thesis, it is that crypto, and the reason I'm still here, the reason I'm still interested, is that crypto is a place where people can make gobs and gobs of money. And the people that are making gobs and gobs of money are the people that already have gobs and gobs of money. And I think that in 2017, that whole bull run, let me go to the log scale here. Where did my little log? I feel like they changed this view around on me. Where's my log view? Anyway, when I look at the 2017 cycle, this to me looks a lot like what we would see in a smaller capped coin. This kind of parabolic run up followed by, you know, a couple ABC waves back down. There might be kind of a relief rally of sorts that happens after the bounce. But if I brought up the chart for any number of altcoins in the last market cycle, you'll see the same kind of parabolic run up and then a crash back down. And then it just kind of goes flatline until the next cycle. And I think that this was really early. You know, institutional people were taking a look, but mostly consumers, mostly, you know, the smaller kind of, you know, hobbyists, etc. And then because it's this 4-year cycle, we had this big range when there was enough that could be accumulated by the smart money, the big players, that the next cycle we had was very different, much more sophisticated, much more mature, much more like you would see in Forex or stock market. Instead of just the run up and the crash back down, we had this huge run up. We had the whole Wyckoff distribution. I mean, that's the whole reason why you're watching this channel, is because of, you know, talking about this cycle and how well it was executed. I mean, this is institutional money making at its most refined. And so, you know, in this past cycle, the, you know, distribution and then the and then the accumulation, and then the moves that have played out are significantly different. So I'm trying to, all of this is just to say, I'm trying to temper my previous, you know, looking at the last 3 cycles and saying, all right, what's likely to happen here? I think we can expect a lot more sophistication and a lot more, I guess, smaller time frame, not quite, I was going to say shenanigans, but it's just like, you know, money being made more often through more moves, more kind of little plays, you know, think of it that way, than sort of this flatline crawling. And where's my chart where I've got the, my charts are so covered with crap, it's almost embarrassing. I just want to find one of these here. Oh, it's the BLX. So the BLX here, I've got the halvings loosely marked. These tend to change on me when I change scales, so they're not exact. But, you know, if you look at kind of what happened 2017, you know, here's the top, and then a lot of sideways movement. When this is on log, here we go, logarithmic, you know, we can kind of see the relative volatility a little bit clearer. So this is kind of a nice view, but my point is there is just a lot more kind of market moves, you know, market maker moves happening here. And ultimately, I think this is also a Mayfair Ventures quote, the market is an algorithm seeking liquidity, is really what's happening. And then mapped on top of that, we've got this larger time frame, kind of 4-year narrative that is so valuable, so useful, rinse and repeat. I still firmly believe that the story of Bitcoin and crypto is up and to the right, and that's exciting. I just, I wanted to make a comment in this time period to just like temper expectations for myself and just remind myself that I have more time. Crypto isn't going anywhere without you. And the biggest thing that I have just come to see is that the strategies that do the best are just the big zoomed out picture, DCing in or hodling, but not getting, hung on the nuances of today's news, or, the ETF is going to be the thing that blasts this thing off, or, that's kind of where I'm at. And it's funny because I actually recorded another video 2 days ago where I was a lot more just like, this is what I think is happening. I think it's coming back down. I think we've, kind of paid off this momentum wave. The volume isn't there. I think this is a test. I think that, this is going to kind of correct back down. Actually, my expectation, this is what I think, could be wrong, but I think that we're going to get news pretty shortly that the ETF is not approved and that they're going to wait. And then all of this, kind of, call it what you will, artificial, build up then becomes that beautiful Wyckofian turning around to the narrative to come back down and to continue accumulating and to continue building that base, which again is best for everyone, unless you're the, kind of the person that's getting suckered into the narrative at the 11th hour. So last little things I'll say is, as I was getting ready to post that other video, and I'm like, it sucks, but I care if I'm right or wrong. I care what people think about me. I try not to, but it will keep me up at night if I'm like, shit, I went out on a limb, I made these statements. I've only really been like majorly wrong once before, as far as like the YouTube goes, and that was in this moment here where I was really sure that, this was such a little repeat at just a smaller scale that I thought we were going to have another breakdown, and instead it popped up, caught me with my pants down. I hated that feeling, and so I was nervous to come out here and just be like, yep, triple top, this is Wyckofian, distribution fueled by ETF, whatever, and that this all just plays into this type of a accumulation range that, more time for the bigger players to get their positions ready means a bigger blast off once it happens. I want the price to go back down. I want to be DCing in longer. I don't want to see this take off to 50,000 and I'm just going to be sitting there like, well, that's silly. Those are my biases. So anything else I want to share? I think that's it. I'll also just say that, I'm recording this from my art studio, and a lot of the reason why I haven't been posting videos or, really caring about YouTube is that I've got my life kicking ass right now. About a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I started this book, which I highly, highly recommend, The Artist's Way. And I was already getting back into painting, but this just gave me permission to really focus on who I am at my core and what I love in this life. And now I'm here, I'm surrounded by all of these paintings that I've done. I've been selling them for, in some cases, thousands of dollars. And I have a whole little, thing that's happening. So I'll give you a little tour at other points in time, but I don't know, living the dream. And I'll try and find a way to offer prints and other stuff, because I think you're gonna like the things I do. It's all really cool. So that's all I got. I love you all, and until next time, cheers.